Welcome to the Fuel Podcast, where we explore the foundations under extraordinary lives.
The Fuel Podcast is sponsored by the Christopher Schwartz team at First Choice Mortgage Advisors. NMLS ID 106583. If you're looking to purchase or refinance your mortgage, make the Christopher Schwartz team at First Choice Mortgage your first choice.
And now, here is your host, Chris Schwartz.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Chris Schwartz, your host of Fuel, and we are here today with our guest, Naoji Moriuchi. Naoji, how are you?
Doing great, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for taking the time to sit down with us here today. And just to give a little bit of background on Naoji is a realtor, runs a large real estate team with Compass Real Estate here in Philadelphia. Yep. And your team is primarily based out of New Jersey?
Yep. Based out of, most of our business is out of Moorestown, New Jersey. And then sort of the surrounding areas, going all the way up to Princeton and down to a few of the shore points, but and everything in between there. So, yeah.
Awesome.
We're loving it. We're loving it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And outside of real estate, Naoji is proud father of 2 girls, husband.
Yeah.
And will tell us a little bit about what else.
Yeah. Proud. I love my kids, love my wife. Everything's, everything's, you always hoping to get better and be a better father, be a better husband and all those good things. But I feel pretty blessed and fortunate for where I am today. And I appreciate being on Fuel here. I'm looking forward to our conversation. So, yeah.
Well, absolutely. And one of the cool things about, being here at Fuel is I get to seek out people that just really align with who I am, and I get to hear their stories. And one of the awesome things I just want you to share with our listeners is I love the tagline for your team, and that's really what resonates with me. And it's like he needs to be on Fuel. So can you share that with our listeners, man? Because that's and maybe even a little backstory on how that might have came about. Absolutely.
Yeah. No. We're focused on changing the lives we touch through the power of real estate, and it really took me a while to figure that out. Right? I mean, we were talking beforehand. How long I've been in the business. Since 2005, and just the different people, the ups and downs, and all that stuff.
Sure.
And so really, probably a few years ago, it really sort of hit home. Right. And so there's a few things in my life that have really influenced me. And I think just through time and experience and some reflection, some people get there a little bit faster than than me. Right? but we're all on our own journey. Right. So, I'm half Japanese, Japanese American, and my grandfather. So I just think about sort of that sort of legacy. And so my grandfather and his family, and my grandmother and her family during World War II were sort of put in an internment camp. They lived in California. They were farmers out there. And, during World War II, with being put in the camp, you had to sell all your stuff. But everyone knew like you had to sell your stuff, right? So, some stuff you were giving away, and some stuff people were just saying, I'll buy this for like a penny on the dollar, pennies on the dollars, right? So they basically lost everything at that moment, and then my grandfather, his journey took sort of after he was released, through the South, and then came up to New Jersey. Actually, and it's because of the Quaker community. There's a strong farming community, but there was also a strong Quaker community that did a lot of outreach to the Japanese Americans at that time.
Okay.
And he got his start. He just worked on a farm, and then that gentleman, his name's Lou Barton, helped him get his first, piece of ground. His first, he worked on his farm, and Lou helped him get, a loan to buy a small piece of ground, and my grandfather really worked it and saved and bought a tractor one year and did different things. So I think about that, and then think about my dad and how he worked really hard, transitioning the farm from, a time where a lot of things were happening, expenses rising, labor's a lot tougher, regulations, all that stuff. So when I think and reflect on, my farming background, I worked on the farm until I was probably about 20.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
fun facts about Naoji.
Yeah,
huh?
growing up on a farm,
Right.
it's I love it. I loved it, right? And I love it, right? It's one of the
nice. We'll have to get into that a little bit more. That's
Yeah.
something. That's not a side of Naoji that I know. So we'll have to dig into that a little.
Yeah, bit. I love it. I love growing up on the farm. It's like one of the best lifestyles. It's one of the hardest lifestyles, I think. And so if anyone says they're a farmer or like they grew up on a farm or their relatives a farmer, I'm just like, I like you.
Right.
I like you.
Yeah.
Like I like you.
There's no free lunch on the farm, right? Everybody pulls their weight, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Not that I have any experience with on a farm. I'm the most urban person.
It was a great way. But so anyways, the sacrifices, right? The sacrifices that they've made along the way and just trying to continue on sort of that legacy of farming and makes me really appreciate what I have today. And so tying it back into sort of changing the lives I touch, the power of real estate, if it wasn't for that Quaker community, if it wasn't for Lou Barton, if it wasn't for a community of people sort of helping my grandfather, he worked really hard and he made sacrifices and things. So I'm not but if it wasn't for all those things coming together at the right time for him, I wouldn't have the life that I have. I just wouldn't. And then for my dad to continue that on and the support that they received from, my grandmother and my mom, just like really making their own sacrifices and unconditional love and support and things of that nature. Just when, your whole crop gets wiped out by a hailstorm, you need
community. You need help.
Right.
People to.
We think sometimes losing a deal with like one house is like horrible, but like when you lose your entire crop, they that's and you make this huge investment into the season. So that's like one of the big things for me. I mean, there's other things for sure.
Kind of ties into what we talk about, as hopefully our listeners know, FUEL is an acronym for Foundations Under Extraordinary Lives. And, that you've kind of already touched on it, and we'll kind of just throw the question, what's your FUEL story?
Yeah.
And we're already kind of into it because the foundation, it sounds like for you, it started on the farm and,
for sure,
watching, that hard work and, I'm sure that built the foundation for how you operate today, right?
Yeah,
and that's
for sure. It absolutely does. I mean, it absolutely does. And an appreciation for the sacrifices that other people made, and wanting to sort of live up to that a little bit, right? So those are all really important things to me. And then also then being able to maybe do the same for somebody else, right?
Exactly.
And so that's really part of my fuel. I mean, there's a couple other pieces that we can probably get into if you like.
Absolutely.
But that's the farm and the sacrifices and hard work and dedication that my grandfather and father and their wives made. Absolutely. And it's my fuel, part of my fuel. So,
yeah, absolutely. And that's something that, if you appreciate and respect those things, it's almost, especially probably, having the Japanese culture, like it's an honor, right? To be able to, carry that forward. You have to respect it and, do as well or better to make all their sacrifices,
absolutely
carry on.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's a huge part of your fuel, and thanks so much for sharing that with us. And
my pleasure.
Yeah, we can. But I know you and I have talked, and we know each other outside of this, and you've shared some other stuff, and anything else that that kind of goes along with that, because we all have this journey in life, and you shared something really cool with me in that your focus on time.
Yeah, I'm actually obsessed with time now, and I think that gets back to sort of the my why, and Simon Sinek,
absolutely.
your why and all that stuff. That and changing the lives I touch, the power of real estate, and but being obsessed with time, and for me, that really didn't hit home until my younger brother passed, and so I miss him every day, and it's one of those things where sometimes you just wish you did a few things differently. So
absolutely.
But so when you think about it, like time is one of these things where, so you read 168 Hours, it's another great book, and you realize like you have more time than you ever think you really do, right? If you think about, when you're in college, you're like, man, I'm so busy, right? And the reality is, like, if I could go back and talk to that self, like Naoji of college years, you're like, you're really not that busy, man. Like,
yeah, right. Like you think you are.
You think you are. But I mean, if you sit down and do this exercise in 168 hours, you'll realize, like, if you sleep 8 hours or 6 hours, there's so many more hours, right, in the week. And so, but then at the other side of it, this guy named Tim Urban, he has this, I guess it's a newsletter. He writes this article, and it's Wait But Why. And he did this one.
Yeah, I think that's the one you sent me, right?
I sent you that one, and it's the tail end, right? And so the tail end. So on one side you have 168 hours, and you have all this time.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be.
You could have sent me that one first.
Yeah, I should have.
You sent me the tail end, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I only have this much time left.
Right.
So thank you,
right.
Naoji.
Did you call your mom? No.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
But then with the tail end, it's about, like, look, if you really think about how much time you have, you don't have a lot, right? And where are we within that continuum of time? So trying to balance those two things along your journey is part of my fuel too. Is I'm not perfect at all. I'm trying to be more purposeful. I'm trying to think about my days and time blocking, and I'm starting to think about how can I help my team and the people that I'm interacting learn more about that, and so I'm truly obsessing about time, right? Because the other piece that I read this article, and the magazine is no longer around, but I was in the technology industry before I got into real estate, and it was an article in the Industry Standard. And they were interviewing Jeff Bezos. And it was a time where, Amazon was, it's losing all this money and whatever else, right?
It
started out. And the article, and if you ask me anything about the article except for I wouldn't remember. But the thing that's really hit home for me was they were asking Jeff Bezos, like, what was your motivation? And he said, minimize regret. Like, he knew at this moment in time, if he did not drive cross country, like, he would regret it and start Amazon.
Right. Yep.
He would regret it, right? And so that really hit home. It's like, how can I live my life, minimizing regret, right?
That's awesome.
And so we all have regret and whatever else, but like my grandfather and my dad and the sacrifices they made and their experience obviously is a piece of me. The death of my brother is a big piece of me, and then some of these articles that you read along the way sort of influence you, and you're open to receiving them, right?
Right, it hits you at the right time, and some of these things may come across at other points in your life, and you pay them no meaning, but then you get the right article or the right book at the right time, and it just really opens your eyes to whatever it is that concept or that idea, and it's powerful, right?
It is.
Like you hit me with the with the time one, and the wait but why or wait but when, and I had some things that I thought, wow, I don't have that much time, and I'm not putting time in certain relationships that I have with family members, with whatever, and I gotta fix that, because so just was the timing, if we can.
Right.
Was like I was open to receiving that, and it was so yeah. It's all those things, and that's again one of the cool things that I get to do with this medium and having a podcast and the Fuel experience is just get to like unpack all this stuff with people. It's awesome. Yeah. Like, that's the only thing I can say.
Well, I love it.
And it exposes me to, so many things that people share with us, and ideas, concepts, books, whatever it is. And so it's one of the awesome things about doing this.
Well, I appreciate you doing this because, changing the lives, you got to, be authentic. And I appreciate you creating this forum where people can share. And I really haven't shared all these pieces. So, and
that's what we're.
And hopefully, someone might be listening to this and they can take a nugget, right? So, they can take a nugget and hopefully it'll help impact their lives. And that's what I mean by changing the lives of people I touch through the power of real estate. If it wasn't for real estate, you and I wouldn't be connected. Right. I wouldn't be sitting here today. So real estate for me is this medium in which I can have a positive impact on people's lives. So this is really awesome, and I appreciate you doing this, Chris. So
yeah, no, cool. And that's what. And sorry, I kind of talked over you there for a little bit, but why I came up with this idea is we meet people, and there's like so much to a person's life, right? And you're a father, you're a husband, you're all these other things, but we get pigeonholed to like, oh, there's Naoji, he's a realtor, right? It's like, is that all we are? Yeah. Is all I am is a mortgage guy? Like, yeah. So, right. And then that's what Fuel is. It's to, let people see that, hey, there's this other side to who we are. And it's kind of cool to see why is Naoji a realtor, which we'll kind of flipped real quick into, okay, you went from the farm, but now you're, you're leading this real estate team with, 10 people on the team. It's not, it's a far cry from the farm. Well, it's close to the farm, right? You're in the same area. But
I'm fortunate, right? So I'm really fortunate that I live and work in the community I grew up in, right? So I know it really well, and we're expanding outside of Moorestown. We primarily doing Burlington County and Camden County. But we're growing, and as I mentioned, we're going up to Princeton. But I am very fortunate for like what I do, and for the people that give me the opportunity to, they're on my team. We have a team, and I feel very fortunate that they want to be part of that journey with me, right? So, and I think some people are going to be surprised if they listen to this. Like, they're like, this is the most I've probably ever shared. So
we've got that. We've got some people that are like, man, I've known Naoji all my life. And thanks a lot, buddy. You never told me any of that.
So
awesome.
I'm sure that'll be a reaction of a couple of people. But I love being part of Compass and having the Moriuchi group, and having some of my past partners a part of this journey as well, with their own teams and things of that nature.
Sure.
Part of Compass. So I feel very fortunate, and I'm thankful for the stuff that the sacrifices that were made before for me, and hopefully I can help a few other people. I was just thinking about something and it just escaped my mind, so maybe I have maybe you have a filler or something.
No, absolutely. I mean, and one of the things that we like to do is I really, the stuff that you're doing with your team, and we talked about this pre-show, is one of the hardest things to do in our business, and I say our business, because I'm on the mortgage side, real estate, it kind of, coincides. But probably in any business, we pin it to our business, but it's finding talent, right? And, getting great people on your team. And I think it's a true testament, because we were just talking and you said, of course it's hard to find talent. We were both talking about that, but most of the people on your team have been on your team for a while, right? I think you said one person's there, 12, 13 plus years.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think, we're 2019. So someone's been with me probably about 14 years. And, I probably, if you look at the average, people have been, on my team for about probably like 4 years on average or so. So
the real estate world, that just for those of you listening that are not in the world, that's like an eternity, right? For someone to stay in one place for 4 years, let alone, 12.
Especially with the pressures of people trying to recruit them. And
exactly.
Things.
Yeah. So can you share with us, kind of one nugget or, piece of advice that our listeners could take away to help, level up their life, their business, just kind of one piece of advice that has helped you.
So from a very large strategic, like high level, be purposeful, be committed to what you're doing. One of the things that with the passing of my brother, you think you have all this time, right? But there's certain things that left unsaid with my brother. And so, you just never know, right? So be purposeful and committed to the journey you're on. Be open to learning and growing, right? We've all made mistakes. As long as we try to continue to move forward and try to minimize that regret, right? And if you hurt someone, own it, right? Yep. Apologize, try to make things better.
We make mistakes, right?
We make mistakes. Don't give up. But on a very tactical level, get a planner, right? Like time block. Right. So if you want to live a life without regrets, you got to be purposeful and time block every single day. Know what your goals are. And that's something I'm always trying to get better at is living up to my time blocking so that when I'm working, I'm working.
Right.
All right. When I'm with family, something I got to work better at is being more present. Right. So time block. Time blocking.
Nice. Yeah. And that's, a lot of things you said there resonate with me, and one of them, the time blocking is something I struggle with for sure, and try to again get better. And then the other thing is really being committed. Somebody had a mentor of mine had mentioned to me just this. He's like, so many of us are involved in so many things, but we're not committed,
right?
And so he started to shed things in his life that he was involved in. And some of those were like important things, like to the outsiders, like, wow, you're no longer a part of, Kiwanis, whatever it was. Like there were some organizations and some things that he did. Right. And he's like, look, in order to get where I want to be, like I just need to focus on the things that I'm committed to.
It's
interesting.
It is, so saying no, right?
That's
knowing what to say no to.
What to say no, exactly.
And when you, in our business, with mortgages and with real estate, it's tough to say no. I'm reading a book now. It's called The Tribe of Mentors. And actually it's this guy. That's why I love this podcast, right?
Okay.
So you're interviewing people, but he wrote questions to all these different people, all different backgrounds, famous, successful people. Sure. But one of the questions is, how did you get better at, I'm messing this up, but it's basically, what do you say no to and how do you say no to it?
Right.
Right.
Like, it's very, it's an art, right? To say it and not upset people and to, honestly, the things that you say no to, you can serve the other things that you're involved in that much better. Right? Yeah. So awesome. Well, Naoji, thank you so much for coming on. So now for the fun part. Now we're going to hit you with our rapid fire.
Uh-oh.
So
you didn't tell me about this, Chris.
Yeah. So, no, cool. It's you don't have to prepare. Trust me.
No, I'm joking.
Rapid fire is you're stuck on an island.
Okay.
And we're going to ask you 3 questions.
I should have listened to your last podcast.
I sent you the episodes.
I know.
Come on. And you would have had all this.
Yeah,
but teasing. So the first question, and we're going to throw the disclaimer out there, is we know that you would take friends and family and all those people. So outside of that, somebody that's had an impact or somebody that's fun, could be a celebrity. Anyway, who would you take with you?
Oh, wow. So I'm stuck on an island and I can take anybody.
Anybody, a celebrity, they have to come. Anybody, somebody. Yeah.
But
Influencer.
it can't be. You said family or
we're going to
friends.
assume that, of course, you would take,
Yeah.
family
Okay.
and friends.
All right.
Like, definitely.
That disclaimer.
Unless you want to get
so all my friends out there,
Yes.
I would absolutely
We're fully covered with our disclaimer. Don't.
Yes. Man, that's a great one. I would, and this is not very rapid. I would take Jeff Bezos because he's influenced me with that.
There we go.
Yeah,
all right.
I think I would take Jeff Bezos.
Taking
That would be cool.
All right.
That would be really cool.
All right. Yeah. And the next question.
I'll try to get faster.
This is easy.
Oh.
One book. What are you taking with you?
I'd probably take The Compound Effect. People have asked me that lately, and I think
Darren Hardy, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of great books out there, but if I'm thinking from a business professional point of view, I'd take that. Take The Compound Effect. If I was doing something just like fun, I'd be like Treasure Island, because like my other grandfather, he would read that to us kids growing up. So
Nice.
I take Treasure Island.
Awesome.
So.
All right. Well, you're not going to need the compound effect. You can do whatever you
All
want.
right.
Take
Treasure Island.
All right. Last one. What food? What's your fun food? Guilty pleasure? Have to have it. You can take anything.
So like, I love sushi. I mean,
Okay.
like that. How stereotypical is that? But grew up on Japanese food, and so if I only had to have one staple, obviously it'd be tough to make sushi on a deserted island, I guess.
Yeah, that's all right. We're going to get you all the supplies.
Nice.
So, and sushi comes up a lot. I'd probably be
Really?
tempted
All right.
to take some sushi as well. So awesome. Well, again, Naoji, thank you so much for coming on. For everybody listening and those watching on YouTube, where can we find you? How can we connect with you?
Yeah, themoriuchigroup.com is my website. So themoriuchigroup.com, and I'm always, you can call me, my cell phone, 609-781-0080, so.
Bold.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So awesome. So we, if you guys want to connect up with Naoji, he's a great wealth of knowledge for anything, obviously, real estate related, and outside of that, I mean, you really do invest a lot in yourself and building who you are, and that's why we had you on here, man. Really happy to have you as a guest, and
it's my pleasure, man. This was a lot of fun. So
awesome.
Thank you.
So on that note, for everybody listening, if you got something out of this, we could ask that you share it on iTunes, put it out there on social, give us a 5-star rating, and we're out.